How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another Ratchet and Clank video. As some of you may know, Ratchet and Clank will be supported on the PlayStation 4 Pro. According to community lead James Stevenson, the technique they're going to use on the PS4 Pro is called temporal injection. Not only will it be able to enhance the resolution, but it's also going to eliminate jaggies and apply some anti-alias. Now, what do these words mean to keep it simple for you guys? It's simply getting rid of any sharp edges, make the pictures, make the animation look a lot more smooth. So the PS4 Pro has HDR enabled, high dynamic range, and 4K resolution. To play your game in 4K, the game has to support it and your monitor has to support 4K. Pretty simple. Here's what Ratchet and Clank looks like at 4K. We're talking about 3860 by 2160 pixels instead of 1920 by 1080p. It's double the amount of pixels, so of course the game will look a lot more detailed, as if the game wasn't already appealing at 2K. As for the normal PS4, it does support HDR, high dynamic range, and this was part of version 4.0. In order to enable that setting, you go into the video output settings and select HDR, and of course your TV has to support it. What does HDR mean exactly? Well, it has to do with the color and contrast. Once it's enabled, all the colors and contrast will pretty much look better. Okay, we get it. PS4 Pro and a 4K monitor. What if one has a 1080p monitor? Well, the PS4 game will look a lot better on the 1080p resolution. That's one of the main features of the PlayStation 4 Pro. So you don't necessarily need a 4K monitor, but the whole purpose of the PlayStation 4 Pro is to play on a 4K monitor, so buying a Pro for a 1080p resolution, I honestly wouldn't do that. I'm actually happy with my regular PS4 on my 1080p TV. If you have a 4K TV and a game which supports 4K, then that's when the PlayStation 4 Pro is worth it, in my opinion. If some of you don't own the regular PlayStation 4 and have a 4K monitor, then maybe you're gonna want to go with the Pro version. Some people already have a 4K resolution TV. Maybe they might sell their regular PS4 to get the Pro version. Anyways, back to the point. When will the Ratchet and Clank patch be available for the PlayStation 4 Pro? Actually, it's already available. Now, this patch also works on the regular PS4. What this patch does is it creates motion blur and temporal anti-alias. Insomniac Games calls it the motion blur technique. Here's a comparison I found by user K-Bobs on the Insomniac Games forums. Here's a screenshot of Veldon. Look at the grass. The difference is very noticeable. We don't have a lot of sharp edges and it looks a lot more smooth. Here's another one inside the Insomniac Games museum. In the left picture, Ratchet's eyes look very sharp compared to the one on the right. The one on the right, they look a lot more smooth. Same for the cables in the back. Here are some more screenshots. Like I just said, everything looks pretty much smooth and pretty nice. Okay, to really understand what's going on, here's another one. This was zoomed in 6 times on Ratchet's eyes. The one on the top is very sharp compared to the one on the bottom. The difference is that the one on the bottom looks more blurry. Next, this one's zoomed in 4 times on the desk. The one on the top is very pixely, very sharp. The one on the bottom is blurry. And here are some other screenshots I found online. Overall, this new patch on the regular PS4 and on the PlayStation 4 Pro makes the game look a lot more, how can I say this, cleaner. Let's go with that. Guys, let's be honest, the game already looks visually appealing on the PS4. 4K resolution, yeah, it's all nice and stuff, but the game already looks great. Now here's a question a lot of people had in mind. Will this new patch enable the game to run at 60 frames per second? No. Insomniac Games recently confirmed this. According to James Stevenson, the game is designed to run at a locked 30, so making frame rate changes was never in the cards. Sorry. This was on NeoGAF. There are also games that are simply made for 30 FPS, and the developers have no intention or way to make them work at 60 without a huge amount of effort. This was asked by a user. Stevenson replied, yeah, our engine is certainly capable of high frame rates. See our Oculus titles at 90. That said, Ratchet's utilization and optimization of the PS4 hardware was dialed in for a locked 30, so the effort to re-architect that would be gigantic. Now, when it comes to this whole 60 frames per second situation, I've been reading a lot of comments online. There's this huge discussion going on. Why isn't Ratchet and Clank running at 60 frames per second? Yada yada yada. Look, the game is fine at 30 frames per second, in my opinion. I did not experience any frame rate drops. Guys, tell me something. Would you rather have a 60 frames per second game with less detailed visuals, or a game running at 30 FPS with good visuals? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Okay, I understand that all games up to a crack in time ran at 60 FPS, but guys, what are we gonna do? Yes, 60 frames per second, I'm gonna admit, it looks awesome. It looks very smooth. Now, as long as the gameplay is solid at 30 FPS, I'm good, I'm happy. But I still have a small question. Why was the game locked at 30 FPS? I think that Insomniac Games wanted to put everything into the visuals instead. Many consoles can run 60 FPS. It's not really about the PS4 specs. Maybe Insomniac Games simply wanted to add a lot of power to the visuals. You know, not focus too much on the frame rate, but rather focus on the graphics and visuals. Use all of the PlayStation 4's power on that. In the end, guys, I'm not gonna be disappointed if Insomniac Games decides to go with 30 FPS. I know that a lot of consumers are looking for 60 FPS. They like it looks more appealing and stuff like that. But as long as the game runs great at 30 FPS, then I'm all good. What about you guys? If the next sequel runs at 30 FPS, will you get disappointed? Here's a fact about this whole FPS thing. Back in 2009, Insomniac Games wrote this article going over statistics, if frame rates matter, if it boosts sales and stuff like that. Back then, Insomniac Games had mentioned that A Crack in Time was going to be the last game to run at 60 frames per second. And here's what was said. It means that frame rate is still important to us here at Insomniac, but it's not on the same pedestal it was before, and that Ratchet and Clank future A Crack in Time will probably be Insomniac's last 60 FPS game. Now, will Insomniac Games change their minds one day? All I'm gonna say is, who knows? And finally, the PS4 Pro will launch on November 10th, 2016. But anyways, I'm gonna end the video right here. If you have any thoughts, questions, leave everything in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thanks for watching.